But let me from the onset say that this whole NADCO report, even the PG of yesterday, it is less and less about the country and more about 2027. That is the truth. This is a political marriage which is not designed to heal the ills in the country, but to just basically create a vehicle for capturing political power and ensuring the re-election of President William Ruto in 2027. If you look at the NADCO report and the 10-point agenda, Sam, I do not see what we are missing in terms of legislation or in terms of process to implement it. But if you look at the things that have happened the last 1 year, actually we have been very steadily been undermining even the very things that were put in the NADCO report. Let me highlight a few. It talks about, the NADCO report talks about promoting and protecting the life of the youth. Mm-hmm. I think that was agenda number, promoting and protecting the livelihood of the youth. That was number 4. Mm-hmm. The last 1 year, just like you've said, hundreds of youths have been killed on our streets trying to protest peacefully, which was actually the number 6 of this 10-point agenda, the right to peaceful assembly as enshrined in Article 7 of the Constitution. If you look, so all these youth have been killed, many others have been abducted, some are still missing even as we speak.
Right.
Sam, if you look at issues around integrity, and there are 2 points around integrity and the fight against corruption in this report, which is number 5 and number 8. And you see what is happening in this country, and you just look at the latest TI report that has even profiled, our president, even at a personal level, and our country. So you can actually see the actions that we've been taking is actually taking us further away from the principles of this NADCO report. Then you look at management of national debt. We started this conversation in earnest 2 years ago, but it has, by and large, died. Right now, we've, I think, mortgaged the...
Godfrey Wandeto, a vocal member of parliament, has raised serious concerns about the way corruption is being discussed and addressed in Kenya. His criticism is directed at President William Ruto, who he believes has little moral ground to lecture others on corruption, while the executive itself struggles with deep-rooted scandals. To Wandeto, corruption is not confined on one arm of government, but it is a national crisis, cutting across ministries, agencies, and parliament itself. He sees the president's focus on legislature as a way of shifting blame rather than addressing the wider problem. Wandeto argues that when corruption is reduced to a matter of blaming parliament alone, it creates a distorted picture. The executive controls most of the budget and oversees large-scale projects, which are often the breeding ground for graft. From procurement fraud to inflated tender, these cases are not new to Kenyans, and many feel that they are the real drain for public resources. By directing attention to parliament, Wandeto suggests that the president is avoiding scrutiny of the executive on weakness. For him, fighting corruption must begin from the top before targeting other institutions. The MP also pointed out that while Parliament has its issues, its independence has been eroded over time. Ideally, the legislature is meant to be a check of the executive, ensuring that laws are passed in the best interest of citizens. Instead, Wandeto observed that Parliament has increasingly become an extension of the government's will. He worries that it has turned into the choir that simply sings along to whatever tune the executive plays. This undermines the very foundation of democracy, where different arms of government are supposed to act as watchdogs over one another. Reforms, in his view, are urgently needed to restore Parliament's dignity and independence. He acknowledges that the House cannot be free of blame, as bribery and political pressure often influence how debates and votes unfold. However, he insists that the root of the problem lies in an unhealthy relationship between a Parliament and the executive. When legislatures fear political backlash or are lured with promises of favor, they are unable to serve the peoples effectively. Reforms would help to break these ties and make Parliament once again a strong guardian of public interest. When addressing how bills are passed in the House, Wandeto explained the stark reality of parliamentary democracy in Kenya. The majority party or coalition often dictate the outcomes of the debate, regardless of the quality of argument raised by the minority. Even when a bill is deeply unpopular, once the majority has been wiped into the line by party leaders, it passes, it's guaranteed. These leave dissenting voices with little influence beyond registering symbolic opposition. For Wandeto, this shows how fragile the independence of parliament has become under the weight of government influence. He gave insight into the dynamics that play out whenever a government-sponsored bill is introduced. Party loyalty and political alignment take precedence over genuine debate. MPs may express discomfort or even openly criticize certain proposals, but once the leadership has given the direction, the outcome is rarely in doubt. Wandeto finds this deeply troubling as it reduces a parliament to a rubber stamp institution rather than a place of honest deliberation. Citizens who expect their representative to fight for their interests often end up sidelined in the process. The MP also states that the atmosphere in Parliament today reflects a dangerous imbalance in separation of power. The executive enjoys overwhelming influence, leaving the legislature unable to exercise its role effectively. This situation is worsened by a political culture where dissent is discouraged and MPs are expected to fall in line with their parties. Wandeto believes that unless this culture changes, Parliament will continue to pass questionable laws without a proper scrutiny, further alienating citizens from their leaders.
Suddenly becomes the good person and is now the one talking about the reparations of the stolen goods.
Yeah.
You cannot have the Ministry of Interior, which is the one in charge of police, which is the one who provides whether it's command decisions or policy decisions. The police go out there.
Yep.
Children are protesting peacefully with handkerchiefs, water, and phones. That is all the weapons that they have. They are brutalized, killed. Hundreds of families are grieving. Some are maimed and in hospitals. And now the same government purports to come and massage the wood through some bit of compensation. Like you have said, first of all, there has been no acknowledgement. There has been no public apology. We cannot talk about compensation unless first of all we acknowledge, unless number two we say what are we going to do to prevent such future activities. So I find this whole compensation thing a little bit hypocritical. I find it even now worse that we are going ahead to gather evidence, do public participation. The people who died are known. What we should do is they should bring a legislation to Parliament if it doesn't exist in terms of the amount. Because I believe there is a criteria that has to be used. I lost a leg, I lost an eye, I lost a life,
right.
And then there is a whole compensation structure. But I think this going around is further playing with the emotions of Kenyans.
Okay.